Time is it? Say it's time for KP's Video News. KP's Video News.
Don't worry, folks, it's just water. Anyway, I'm coming to you today, and I'm gonna tell you a little story about who I am, and the reason why I'm doing this article here today is to basically, try to help a few people, and try to give you a little insight, and if I can help anybody just lift up just a little bit, then my job is pretty much done. I'm going to talk about recovery. I'm going to talk about recovery from whatever it is you might have going on in your life, or whatever I had in my life: alcohol, drugs, running the streets, doing whatever, and gambling. I mean, it's a lot of different type of addictions out there today. Coffee, that's an addiction. Like I said before, nicotine. I mean, they got the vape pens out there now. They got kids getting addicted to those, and it's just a lot of different types of addictions out there. Sex is an addiction. Pornography is an addiction. So it's a lot of things that you get caught up on. So let me get started on telling you who I am. This is KP Video News, so I'm going to keep it at that. KP, my name is KP, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. And right now, and if you saw the beginning of the page there, you saw this little thing right here. I can try to get a little closer. This is my 30-year sobriety chip. It's only by the grace of God. And on the front of this sobriety chip, it has something that says, "To thine own self be true." And we had a saying when I went through the 30 years ago, when I went through this alcohol and drug rehabilitation program at the Salvation Army downtown LA. Right there on 5th and Central, right in the heart of Skid Row. We had a saying that the program is selfish. So basically, all that means is that if you're going to do it, you got to do it for you. You got to do it for you. You can't do it for anybody else. You can't do it for your mama, for your daddy, for your kids, for your girlfriend, your wife. You have to do it for yourself. If you want to get away from whatever it is you're addicted to, you have to do it for yourself. And because that's the only way you're going to be able to do it. You can say, well, it's a bunch of people that went out there and tried, and trust me, I tried several times before I finally got it, relapsed, several times. And to that last time, it finally stuck. And I was basically finished. So let me start with my story. I started off using alcohol and other substances as a child. I used to steal my father's wine and stuff. We had a bar in the basement of our house in Chicago, and I used to take a little sip of wine here and there. And I also remember as kids, it was always a kid in the neighborhood that would steal his father's little bitty. He had some little bitty bottles. This is something else. This is some air freshener here. Y'all remember that? Remember that one? Pimp oil, coconut. Anyway, he would come with those little bitty bottles of vodka or scotch or whiskey or whatever he could steal from his father in little bitty airport bottles. And we would be on our way to school, man. Little kids, man, on our way to school in the wintertime. Snow knee deep, waist high, whatever. And we stopped taking sips off these little bottles, man, on our way to school. And we discovered that if we drink that alcohol, it would help keep us warm in the wintertime. So, I'm not using that as an excuse, but I'm just letting you know how long it's been. and when I started, and at a very, very young age drinking. And so that progressed, and by the time I was like, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13 years old, I was, started smoking marijuana and hanging out with the fellas on the railroad tracks, smoking weed on our way to the little quarter parties in Chicago. And that was before I left there and went to California. But when I got to California, it was a whole different thing, because it was the tail end of the hippie era, and it was still in the neighborhood that I eventually moved to was, I'm gonna say, 75% white. So we had a lot of white kids in the neighborhood that always had drugs. They were like hippies. Their parents were hippies, so they always had marijuana. They always had drugs. What you name it, they had it. And they were basically afraid of us, so therefore they would give us drugs to make friends with us. And so that started a whole another addiction. Fast forward into the late 70s, 79, 78, 79, the cocaine era hit Los Angeles. And just like most people, I got caught up in that. And, it was a terrible, terrible time for anybody black in Los Angeles between from the time when this first started, because it was basically pure cocaine coming through. You already know the story about Freeway Rick. I live right downstairs from one of his spots in Inglewood, so it was one of those kind of situations, where it was everywhere. It was everywhere. It was prevalent, and it was like somebody just dropped a bomb on LA, because the devastation that the cocaine took on LA is the same devastation that it took on Oakland, Seattle, Houston, Dallas, Chicago, St. Louis, New York, Harlem, Frisco, Miami, you name it. Every major city, inner city, got hit with tons and tons and tons of cocaine. And we find out years later that the reason why that cocaine got dropped off into the black communities was because of the Iran-Contra situation, where they were bringing the drugs to the United States, where the drugs were being sold in the black communities, and they was taking the money to buy guns, subvertly buying guns, so they could supply the guns with to the Nicaraguans, and also supply arms to the Iranians that were fighting against, the Iraqis that were fighting against the Iranians. So it was a crazy situation. It was a bad time, and I got caught up in it. Now, fast forward to the time that, like I said, I went through several attempts to get clean, to get off the drugs and alcohol, and it didn't work. It would work for a while, and then I would end up going back. And eventually, that last time, that was in 1990. I know the exact dates. The exact dates. June 26, 1990. I was celebrating a birthday with a friend, and after leaving there, I stopped at a liquor store on Florence and 11th Avenue and got into a real big fight with some rolling 60s Crips over there behind the liquor store. And they beat me up pretty bad. I fought them as best I could, and I was able to get away from that situation. But that Monday, when I went to work, and I went to one of the drug counselors at work, Jose, he was able to, the guy that was in charge of the employee assistance program, he was able to make that one phone call. He called the Salvation Army downtown LA, and they gave me an hour to get there, and I got there in an hour. They told me to bring, some underwear, and some socks, and that's all I needed. So that's all I took, and I got there when I could, and I stayed there for 6 months, from June to January. So that was June of 1990 all the way to January of 1991, and so basically it was it's been 30 years. It's been 30 years, And I do thank God for that. However, the process is not as hard as you think. I got 30 years, one day at a time, one single day at a time, and it's like, at first, of course, it's difficult. It's difficult. However, it gets easier as time goes by. You really, really, truly have to make up your mind that, hey, man, you're just sick and tired of it. Well, like I said before, whether it be alcohol, drugs, gambling, prostitution, sex addiction, pornography, coffee, nicotine, whatever your addiction is, shopping too much. Because there's people out there that are hooked on that too. So I'm talking to everybody out there today that has some kind of addiction. But the first step is you got to realize that you have a problem. That's the first step that you got to realize. Because for most people, if you're having fun doing what you're doing, then common sense says, well, I don't have a problem. That's if you're having fun doing what you're doing. At some point, these addictions stop being fun and they start taking over your life. So when you get caught up in an addiction, and that's what I noticed in my lifestyle, that I kept going around and around, and I'm like, man, why can't I get it together? I couldn't figure out why can't I get it together. But the reason why I couldn't get it together was because I kept doing the same old crap over and over and over and over again. It's a ritual that you get addicted to more than the alcohol and more than the drugs or more than the shopping itself or more than the smoking itself. It's just the rituals that you get addicted to eventually, because after a while, those drugs or that alcohol no longer is, you might have started out as recreational, or you started out as a kid smoking cigarettes. Look at me, I'm grown, I'm cool, I'm smoking a cigarette. And so all that, it's like I said, it's just a ritual that you go through, and it's like it's not all about the after a while it's no longer about that anymore. As far as like the recreational situation, then it becomes a habit forming thing that attaches itself to your life. And once it attaches to your life, then it's a problem, because now you have no control over it. It controls you. So me being the type of person that I am, like to always be in control of whatever it is I'm doing, there's no way that I could be comfortable drinking or using any longer. It was over. It was just over, And I have a lot of fun now with my life. And the past few days I haven't really been feeling the best. And I'm doing this today because I didn't do a video yesterday because I was really feeling pretty bad. However, I'm doing this right now. This, as you can see, is not my normal show. And I'm doing this to help anybody out there. And maybe if I can reach one person, that's all that matters. It's everybody ain't gonna get it. And while I was in the Salvation Army program, we had a counselor, man. Every morning we had to go to church, and we would sit there and we call it daily devotional. And that guy would just look out and say, he said, look around, look to your left, look to your right. He said, everybody in here, in this room, and it was about maybe 500-600 people in there. He said, everybody in this room ain't gonna get it. But in my head, I'm saying, I don't know about the rest of these cats, but I'm getting ready to get this. I'm getting ready to get this right here, because I got to save my life. And that last time, I sit up there after I went through the hassle I went through and the fights that I went through, that last day that I was drinking and getting high, when I got into the fight with those 60s over there, I had that voice in my head that told me, if I continue doing what you're doing, you will not last the rest of this summer. You will not outlive this summer. And I'm glad that I listened, and I've only told 2 people about that. And I'm telling you now, it's a higher power out there, whether you like it or not. And You just got to be in tune with it, because that's one thing that helped me get through, knowing that there is a God. And on the back, on the one part of this chip, like I said, it says on the front, to thine own self be true, but on the other side, it has the serenity prayer on there. And I know a lot of you people probably already know it, but it's like this. This is the serenity prayer. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Let me read that again. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You have to ask God for the wisdom to know, because there are things that you can change in your life. And those things that you can't change, you just got to let that go, man. You got to accept it and let it go. You don't have no control over that. But the things that you do have control over, like this is, like I said, this is water, like drinking that whiskey, or hitting that pipe, or smoking those cigarettes, or drinking that coffee, or taking that credit card, going to the mall, buying $2,000 worth of stuff that you really don't need, because you don't even have enough room to put any more new stuff in your house. And that's another addiction that, hey, we all got it. So just think about it. One day, that's all it takes. Today you can say, hey, look, man, I'm not getting ready to drink today. I'm not getting ready to smoke today. I'm not getting ready to look at no porn today. I'm just gonna chill out. I'm just gonna relax, and I'm just gonna chill. So then tomorrow's another day. If you got the right mindset, you can say, okay, I ain't smoking today, I ain't drinking today, I'm just chilling. Like I said before, this 30-year chip, I got these 30 years one day at a time. One day saying, okay, today I'm not drinking today. I'm not drinking today. I'm not drinking today. And in time it gets a lot easier. But I'm gonna help you out. You see my face? You see me? Look at my face. This is what I'm gonna tell you right now. Look at my face. I'm getting ready to mess up your life right now. Every time you get ready to take that drink, take that smoke, take that hit on that pipe, put that money in that slot machine, I want you to see my face. I want you to remember my face. I want you to see me. Don't close your eyes, because if you do, you're going to see me. See my face, and I'm just telling you that to say this. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So it's the ball's in your court now. Ball's in your court. I'm giving you what somebody gave me, just the knowledge. And it's up to you. It's up to you. The next step is up to you. Ask God to give you the strength to change. You have to ask for the strength to change. If you're agnostic, you don't believe in God, you got to do it yourself. You got to change. Today is the first day for the rest of your life, and I'm praying for everybody. Don't forget, next time you get ready to do something stupid, I hope you see my face.
What time is it? Say it's time for KP's Video News.
Peace.